Hello and welcome to your Monday night Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Community Race. My name is Rex Raoul. I'm here with Valvolus Skunk for this wonderful race. Valvolus, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing pretty well. Looking forward to these very, very interesting flags. First off, they don't know what their four objectives are to win the game. No Zeroma sprite tonight, sadly. And the other flag that's really interesting I'm looking forward to is the danger flag, where back attacks and surprise attacks are still enabled, even if you have the toggle turned off.
Yeah, so be wary in those long dungeons because those bats are going to come from the behind and they are going to take a long time with their drains. So watch out for bats tonight. But yeah, these four objectives are going to be really interesting to see how these runners, we're looking at Kind Energy Housewife, Baka Shinobi, Inveterable, and Woo Bear. There's about 10 other people running tonight. But it's going to see how it's going to really test the runner's ability to route on the fly because they can't prep for what's going to happen until the game is actually already running.
That's right. You could have a objective where you need to burn down this village of mist, or you could have to go find everyone's favorite Val or tornado lady, Val. There's so many objectives you could end up with, or you could end up with something simple such as recruit Sid, though the Sid on the screen doesn't count.
To answer the question, Arista, how do you find out what the objectives are? Is there something in game that you can check? The one of the first things that's going to happen after we get the second character and the item that's given at the very beginning of the game is there's going to be a naming way buddy. I think it's called like
Guiding Way.
Guiding Way. That's the one. Is going to should come and list the four objectives.
That's correct. They will list the objectives. Also in the tracking screen, unfortunately, I'm not sure what button, but you'll press a button and you'll be able to bring up what your objectives are and what you've completed.
I believe it's the right button, but yeah, it's it will be available if they need to do it. But I'm guessing that once they see the objectives, they're going to remember it from the beginning because 4 isn't too much of a number. Like if we had like 12 different random objectives, then yeah, you might need to refer to it every now and then. But unless they're really unusual ones, actually, if they're more unusual, they're more likely to remember it, right? If they're mundane, then they could be forgotten. Who knows?
It's definitely going to be very interesting. So definitely looking forward to seeing what their objectives are. A couple other little things. We're going to have the wild chest, so lots of interesting items to be found early. The Dwarf Castle Warp Glitch is on, and we have the Better Starter Kit, which you'll start with some basic potions, life, things like that, but you'll also get a couple of combat items to get started with.
Yeah, this could be something that can really help. Now we've got Sid, who's a pretty good character to start the seed anyway, but you could get some really good fights off really early. Things like that Mount Hobbs check for the character become a lot easier when you've got those combat items in your grip to start with.
Very, very true. And like you said, Sid, a great character for starting. He starts at a pretty strong level, does respectable damage. And throughout the game, while he's not very fast, doesn't have the greatest weapon pool, he does have really good HP and can be a pretty solid anchor for your characters as needed.
He also has quite a bit of good armor choices too if you need a defender as well. I think he's like one of those characters that people really love to see at the beginning because the beginning of the game becomes a lot easier with a higher level character like him, rather than starting with something like an Edward Rydia start. Oh, it looks like we're underway.
And certainly we are. And what's our second character going to be tonight? Ooh, one of my favorites and very often beat up on, Porum, starting with a twin harp, and we know where the D-Mist is.
Yeah, and as you see that package that they're getting, including those big bombs, which ends up being the combat item that you have today.
Big Bomb, certainly not the worst starting item, and it will be good for some of these early fights. You can use it to do some pretty decent damage, especially with...
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be useful, especially if they get like one of the boss fights that have multiple characters. But here come the objectives: Octomam, Rat Tail, Rydia, and Mount Ordeals.
So this could be a very quick seed or very long, depending on where some of those are. Like for the Rat Tail, it's trade away, so you need both the hook and the Rat Tail to complete that objective.
Yeah, and we've seen in some of these seeds where the objective is finding a character. We're guaranteed that Rydia will be in the seed somewhere, but how many of them we don't know, and where they're going to see him, we have no idea.
I saw in Baron Inn there's an Edward, and there is the spoon flag on, so he could potentially be a really solid character for you. And I'm seeing lots of good items. I saw an Artemis arrow, ninja sword.
Yeah, we're seeing some big divergence. We got looks like Baka Shinobi and Venerable heading straight to Damsian, while Wu Baron, kind of nerdy, staying close to home with Baron. I wonder if these are just like kind of general thoughts for this new beta, heading straight to Damsian instead of doing all the chests that are available in Baron. But whatever you decide to do, you got a lot that's open to you. And Baka Shinobi and Invenerable not wasting any time heading into the Antlion Cave. Remembering to equip up right away is Baka Shinobi in case those back attacks come.
Very, very true. That's something you got to keep in mind. Back attacks could happen. And with Sid in your party and Antlion, probably not something you're too worried about. But Porum is very squishy.
Yeah, Porum doesn't have a lot, but I mean, in general, like when you're in this Antlion Cave of the vanilla game, you're rocking with Edward, and Porum is beefier than Edward at the beginning. So there you go.
Very, very true. And in Damsian, it looked like there was a crystal ring, and I saw Baka throw a white shirt on Porum, so she's actually going to be pretty tanky, especially in this early game.
Yeah, that crystal ring is huge. We also see a dancing dagger in the Antlion Cave. That would be good if somebody decides to recruit Edward right away. It looks like Wubear is going to be ascending Mount Hobbs, going to check the character up there as well. So we're going to have a couple of things. Baka Shinobi finds Yang as the boss at the bottom of the Antlion Cave. So we've got a Karate Man fight going on.
Also, kind of nerdy housewife checking the Octomam spot, seeing the Magus sisters there. Not something you want to fight, but it's good information because you do have to find Octomam.
Yeah, trying to look for a vanilla Octomam right there. See Baka Shinobi making use of that big bomb, taking out the Karate Man without too much trouble. And now Wubear finds the Bahamut on the top, and finds yet another Yang, a vanilla Yang, up at the top of Mount Hobbs as the character. So no Rydia yet.
Certainly no Rydia, but Yang has that cat claw for Wubear, so as he gets some levels, he's actually going to do some pretty decent DPS.
And we get the package as the item for defeating the Karate Man at the bottom. I wonder how soon people are going to check, and we'll see if they go all the way through to see if Octomam is the boss there. And we see a surprise attack, a couple sandworms taking on Invenerable there.
Nothing to worry about. I mean, just quickly run away. Kind of nerdy housewife now climbing up Hobbs themselves or herself. Baka taking a quick look in the underwater passage for the boss, sees the Magus sisters, and looks like he might be heading up Hobbs as well.
Yeah, when you know that you have to recruit a character, getting those checks in for the character early makes a lot of sense. Not surprised that it doesn't look like many of the characters are looking at skipping Mount Hobbs early. I mean, Invenerable's the only one who hasn't been there yet.
Is very, very true. Another thing to point out with that package, Rydia could be behind the package as well. So that is another potential check for our runner.
Yeah, without a doubt. So you've got a potential Rydia, you've got a potential Octomam from that package. So it's actually a lot more valuable than it would normally be, I think. Venerable hitting the back attack again with the gargoyles.
Invenerable not having any luck with these back attacks.
At least not early. Kind of Nerdy uses the Star Veil to wipe out Bahamut. A couple of her friends got knocked out in the process, but as long as somebody stands, the fight is a win.
Inveterable now making his way to take on the Bahamut. And Woo Bear, what is the fight up for Bull?
It's like we've got the Kaipo guards there. Baka Shinobi right behind Woo Bear going the same thing, and Kind of Nerdy Housewife just behind them as well.
Kaipo guards, not going to be any sort of challenge. Going to quickly use one of these battle items, take out at least the soldiers, and be done with.
It looks like 2 Thor Rages is what's going to take to get rid of them. Baka Shinobi hasn't picked up Yang. Mabra maybe just checked, saw Bahamut, didn't want to deal with it. I can't blame, I definitely think skipping out on Yang is a good idea, but I think everybody else is going for it, and we see Venerable trying to run away from yet another back attack as the bombs of the Grey Bombs get him.
Ooh, there's our Magma Key, so no Hook Seed, though since you do need to turn in that Rat Tail, maybe wanted to see that Hook, since it'll let you get another character and 2 more potential boss checks as well.
Yeah, this is one with this particular set of objectives. I bet our runners might have been hoping for a Hook Seed instead of a Magma Key. So now, who knows where that hook might be? It might be deep at the bottom of the moon, because with the flag set tonight, the key items are the base key item locations and the moon bosses. We don't have the summons as a potential place, and we don't have the trapped chests either. So just the base ones and the moon.
And as many people know, those moon spots can be very, very nasty, especially if just the right enemy gets there, such as, Evil Wall at Bahamut.
Not to mention, when you're walking down through the lunar subterrane and the Cave Bahamut, Cave Bahamut's a summon, not technically a moon boss, even though he's on the moon. Whatever. But when you're going through the lunar subterrane, all those back attacks and surprise attacks are going to be active, and so those could be dangerous as well.
Very, very true. You run into the wrong back attack in the lunar subterrane, and you could just be looking at a party wipe. And Woo Bear, now taking on Ordeals, runs into Leviathan. Not going to be too scary.
Yeah, and since completing Mount Ordeals is one of the objectives today, want to get through that as soon as possible. Get some levels on your characters, and then if the key item that you're getting up here does lead to any of the other objectives, that's great too. You just want to try to take out as much as you can, as quickly as you can, and by going to Mount Ordeals early, it makes a lot of sense.
This is very, very true. Like you said, get experience for your characters. It is a key item check. And right now, the party you have, Porum, Yang, those 2 need levels. And Sid, well, he'll at least carry you through this early.
Yeah, without a doubt. And then the other bonus is, of course, if you end up finding Cecil, if you end up finding Tella, if you've gone through Mount Ordeals, they'll be fully powered.
Very, very true. Cecil would be really nice to have in this flag set. Take out some of those bosses if you find some right gear for him. Woo Bear, not having too much trouble with that Leviathan, though Porum is now taking the ground.
Yeah, the first spot in Mount Ordeals is generally pretty easy, but the big wave is a percentage-based attack. So even though the stats are low for that Leviathan, the big wave is still going to hurt just as much as it did. And so the lower HP of Porum means she can be taken out with the Ice 2s relatively easily after that.
And it looks like we have the Gauntlet for back attack. That is quite rude.
Yeah, that is one of the nastier spots, especially early in the game, to see the Gauntlet, since they'll all be going first in the fight. Both Kind of Nerdy and Inveterable getting random encounters up here as well. Sad about the no alt Gauntlet tonight, but would have seen a bunch of zombies in this situation if so. But today is not an alternate Gauntlet; it is the classic Gauntlet.
Nothing wrong with the classics, but Inveterable just not having any luck with these surprise attacks. Kinda Nerdy now making her way into the Leviathan fight, and it looks like Baka is dropping his Magma King, might be going straight underground.
Yeah, might be wanting to wait until clearing Mount Ordeals is just a snap and doesn't have to even think about the fights. But I don't know. I kind of like the others, Wu Bear and the other strategy of getting this done first, just in case like that ends up being the rat tail or the hook, something that's really important, or the an item that might lead to Rydia.
Something to make note. Invenerable used a Cure 3 on one of those Lamias to quickly take it out. It got a little bit more experience, and now his Porum knows Bursk, or Berserk, I guess. And so he'll be able to cast that on his Bruisers to help with a lot of these boss fights.
Yeah, that's a really key level gain for Porum. Once she learns Berserk, she's a lot more powerful in teams. And gluing machine manufacturer for our employment dwarf tonight.
One of everyone's favorite checks, so Baka, of course, going to give that to everyone.
But yeah, Invenerable got lucky with that random encounter with the Lamia, taking advantage of it, recognizing that I don't need to run away from every battle if I can get a bonus out of this one. So make good with what you're getting there.
Kinda Nerdy Housewife is having a little bit of trouble with this Leviathan. Two of her party members are down, and Sid pretty low, throwing a Cure 3 on him. Invenerable made use of some of those Thor Rages, quickly blitz through that Leviathan. But not Baka is now making his way through the Fame Arch and gets a back attack from the Conjurer.
Yeah, this is a risky play going through the damage tile areas when those back attacks can come in. If those monsters get an attack when the party's HP is low because of those damage tiles, that could spell doom. Need to get through here as efficiently as possible, and it looks like Baka's not wasting any steps.
Very, very true. You want to be as efficient as possible when going through some of these more dangerous areas, especially things like Sylph Cave.
Yeah, I think Sylph Cave is a little bit more dangerous than the Fame Arch here, but both are pretty dangerous. But getting that Darkness Crystal in the Rat Tail chest is pretty huge for Baka Shinobi as well.
That means pretty much everything is open to him as far as looking for key items. Though I don't know, going to the moon with a low-level Porum and Sid doesn't sound fun, but there is a character check.
Yeah, you might go just for the character check because it could be Rydia.
And Wu Bear through that back attack gauntlet. Invenerable and Kinda Nerdy Housewife now getting their news that it's grind fight time.
Yeah, Kinda Nerdy had to take a second shot at the Leviathan fight, but got through it second time without too much of a problem, and now is at the back attack gauntlet as well. To answer the question, Becky, is what about normal attacks? The normal attacks are toggleable with the within the game. You can turn them on or off for those normal random attacks, but the surprise attacks or the back attacks are always going to be on throughout this entire season.
Wu Bear getting some great news from that Ordeals. The hook was there.
So yeah, that is an important thing. So this is something that could mess with Baka Shinobi now. Who knows how long it's going to take for him to go and do that. You might be waiting to complete Ordeals as the last task. And if he does, then that could put him behind because he might be looking a lot of other places for that hook.
This is very, very true. That hook could elude him for quite a while, but flip side, Wu Bear now has that hook, so we'll be able to check that Eblon Cave character along with at least see one of the bosses while he runs into a surprise.
Yeah, so again, that's going to be a place that's a little bit more high level. It's going to be a dangerous walk. It doesn't have the damage tile problem, so you should be able to run away from most of the monsters without too much of a problem. But they're still going to hit pretty hard.
Baka Shinobi just found a crystal sword in Dwarf Castle, so if he ever finds a Cecil and does ordeals, that Cecil is going to hit like a truck.
To answer the question, ATG77 in the chat, looks like Wu Bear is a bit ahead. It kind of depends. Since the flag set is a little weird, Baka Shinobi has not completed Mount Ordeals, which we know is one of the objectives, and it's also gating another one of the objectives in that you need to complete the Mount Ordeals in order to get the hook, and you need the hook in order to turn in the rat tail. So from that perspective, everybody else is doing that. Baka Shinobi is a little bit behind, but in that regards, but has also already collected the Darkness Crystal from the Underworld. So 6 of one, half dozen of the other, maybe. Depends on how long it takes for Baka Shinobi to route Mount Ordeals into his check.
It's really hard to say if someone is really ahead or behind. Yeah, Wu Bear has like the slightest of leads, I would say, but you can't really just say he's winning yet.
Yeah, there's still too much left in this seed to really know. Baka Shinobi is making a run at that Sylph Cave with even more damage tiles than the Famars, so probably just going to run down to Sheila 1 is the idea here. But
Uh-oh. He does manage to get away from those ghosts, but that could have been very, very scary.
Yeah, I think ghosts are probably going to be the scariest. Those evil trees are a little... They punch really hard.
Invenerable now has his hook and his completed ordeal, so he has one of his objectives. Wu Bear getting into his second fight, and it's just the Baron Guard. It's not going to be too much trouble here.
Yeah, like a French vanilla Baron Guards here.
But it looked like Baka got through the Sylph Cave, so probably going to go check Sheila 1 now.
Yeah, and Sheila 1 is pretty close proximity to Mount Ordeals. We'll see if Baka decides to route Mount Ordeals in after that.
Wu Bear makes quick work of those Baron Guards. Will be rewarded with the Baron Key, so Vanilla, Baron Key, and an Edward.
And that Baron Key will lead to a character check. So that's another character check that's available to Wu at this point. We still haven't seen anybody go to music. We still haven't seen anybody check out that package yet. So there's still a couple things that are on the table.
This is very, very true. But what's also interesting about this Baron Key, all our runners do know that D-Mist is at the Beigen spot, so that's another key item check for you as well. So maybe route killing D-Mist to get that item check along with 2 other bosses here in Baron, though one of them probably not going to be taken on yet for the Octomam. And like you said, a character check. So lots open up with that Baron Key.
Yeah, that's a good point, and for that reason, not really surprised that Wu Bear heading directly in there while Baka Shinobi is checking the vanilla D-Mist location. Does not find Octomam, finds Dr. Luge, and looks like Invenerable is routing a little bit different than Wu Bear, not going to the Baron Inn, instead following Baka Shinobi going down into the underground. And we see Dark Knight Cecil as the character in Mist. Baka Shinobi did find that crystal sword. If Baka decides to go through and check to see if Octomam is the boss at the end of this and is rewarded with that Cecil for this, that might push Baka into that Mount Ordeals check.
I think he might go ahead and take the Cecil regardless if it's Octomam or not. Like I said, that crystal sword, that's a lot of DPS. And of course, we saw our package sprite, Sid being the great guy that he is, and burn down Rydia's village.
So Venerable right back up going into Mount Ordeals, while kind of nerdy is checking out Kaipo. I don't think we've seen anybody go here. Going for the shop check. We'll see if we get a character peek as well.
There's a Sylph summon in the item shop for Kaipo, and of course getting blocked by everyone's final boss, the Kaipomus.
Yeah, the Kaipo lady is is notorious. We have Tella as the character, so the Sand Ruby is not required.
It is not required, but that Tella is fully powered. So if you find it, he could be a pretty good character. Along with that Darkness Crystal, you could, in theory, go do a D Machine grind to prepare for the moon.
Right, to prepare for the moon, because remember, we do not have Zeramus in the cards tonight. Once all 4 of the objectives are completed, you win the game. You do not need to go to Zeramus to win afterwards.
And I know there's a lot of people that are sad that we won't get to say whose butt we're kicking tonight, but
we're going to kick the butt of Octomam, or the Rat Tail, Iridia, and Mount Ordeals.
And Baka finding a fun boss in the Kaipo, that is a goal bet.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. It's maybe the easiest boss that's in the game, and you have to still go through the entire script before you can defeat him.
Yep, you gotta sit through his script, and it's just such a long check for a single character, single boss, and you just run into Golbez.
Yeah, and Baka's put in so much time to go through this already. It's not worth it for him to back out.
But makes very quick work of the fight itself. Meanwhile, Kinda Nerdy Housewife, she's finally making her way down the Antlion Cave, going to be rewarded with that package. And Invenerable finishing up his Baron fight, while Woo Bear is still playing with the D-Mist.
Yeah, so we'll see if Kinda Nerdy Housewife decides to get that Cecil from the package shortly after completing this as well.
But Baka now rewarded with that Cecil and has that Crystal Sword, so very, very incentivized to go to Mount Ordeals, and we'll see that hook and be very happy.
We'll be doing some looting, fighting an Artemis Bow, a Sorcerer Robe, and a Dragoon Lance, among other goodies in the Baron Treasury Vaults.
That Artemis Bow is going to be very nice. Sid, who doesn't have the greatest of equipment, that Artemis Bow is really nice on him.
Yeah, that's basically the strongest weapon that he can equip. Especially since we found that pack of Artie arrows very early in the scene.
And I believe his Porum will know Berserk, so if you can set it up correctly, Berserk, Artie, Sid, that's going to do some really nice work for your team.
Yeah, that's definitely putting Sid above the normal constraints of his damage. This is him being a worthy contender even into the late game.
Well, we have found our octopus, Octomam, on the throne tonight.
Yeah, and Invenerable is close behind on that path.
And Sid critting for 1,300 on this octopus. That is some pretty solid damage.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Baka Shinobi now taking on the Baron fights himself, running into Water Hag first, and Kinda Nerdy Housewife finishing up that Antlion Cave.
So Woo Bear is the first to defeat Octomam here. So now Woo Bear has completed 2 objectives, has completed Mount Ordeals, and has defeated Octomam.
And to answer a question in chat, no one has found Rydia yet, so she could be in a lot of places. We still have Zot, we still have the Giant, we still have Dwarf Castle, and we still have the Moon.
Baron. She's not in Baron because we just saw Rosa as the Baron character.
Well, Rosa, definitely a welcome sight in any party, an incredible white mage.
Or an incredible archer if you want to tweak her that way.
Very, very true. Rosa, just such a great character to find, and finding her early like this is not always going to be welcome.
To answer the question, Maggie the Cat, has anyone checked Hook character? Not yet. We've got a number of runners with the Hook. It was gained at the top of Mount Ordeals, but nobody has gone into Cave Evelyn yet.
Kinda nerdy housewife, she is now doing her package check, sees that Paladin Cecil, so probably pretty happy to get that pickup.
Yeah, I imagine since Kind of Nerdy Housewife, much like Bucket Shinobi, did not complete Baron before checking this package, is going to go ahead and complete it. Kind of Nerdy doesn't have that crystal sword like Baka did, but wants to check that boss because she doesn't know what we know, which is where Octomam is located.
And D-Mist leads to a spoon, so that Edward just got a really nice boost. As you see, his attack power is 255.
Yeah, so now we've got a superpowered bard on our team.
So those that are excited to see Paladin Cecil, Edward is going to be a house once you get some levels.
With this team now, it's a pity that we're not fighting Xeramus because you could turn him into Swiss cheese really easily.
Very, very true. You have Cecil, Spoonward. You have Porum. Well, she can cast Berserk and be another heal bot. And of course, Rosa, who is just incredible in the Z fight.
And you've got an Artemis Bow and Artemis Arrows. Like, we've seen a lot of really good equipment. That's what that Wild Flag really gives you with the treasure.
This is very, very true. Woo Bear now going into Damsian Castle himself will pick up that hovercraft craft. I am going to assume probably might check that Hook character.
Yeah, I think that's really likely at this point. Baka Shinobi getting that big whale, I thought would be going and checking the character on the moon, but looks like going to route in that Ordeals check, which seems to make sense right now.
It does make perfect sense to do this right now, especially if you do want to chance the moon at all. You want to get that Crystal Sword Cecil online.
Yeah, go ahead.
While he runs into a back attack.
Oh yeah, of course. Might be thinking about using that hairdryer's chest as a way to get a bunch of levels really quickly on Cecil as well.
That is also a very solid play to do. Invenerable finish up his Octomam fight, has his Rosa, and going to be rewarded. I forgot what this item was. Oh, the pan. So both Woo Bear and Invenerable have that pan for when they have to go tangle with the Sylph Cave.
Right, they're not just going to be doing the Sheila 1 check that Baka Shinobi did, can route them both together.
Kinda Nerdy Housewife now taking her Baron in fight. Not going to have too much trouble with this, I would guess. And Invenerable now picking up his spoon. Going to be probably happy to see that, especially since he has Edward in his party. And we see these back attacks in the Eblon Cave. They hit hard.
Yeah, those Ironbacks and Black Lizzes do punch pretty well. Looks like Sid, of course, has really good armor, so can take a punch. But some of the mages and bards are not as adequately protected, so they fall down. But really, this is just about getting through this cave as quickly as possible and seeing if Rydia is there.
That's true. You're just looking for Rydia. Invenerable does take a look at the package, sees that it's Cecil, and just immediately nopes out of it.
Yeah, so Invenerable did not, has already completed Baron, and so knows that the boss is not going to be Octomam. So has that luxury of not having to go through that. Now, is that depending on how long the seed is, that might end up turning out bad for him because the Paladin Cecil can do a lot. If you have to fight a lot of those moon bosses, that Paladin Cecil could be a big benefit later in the game. But if we find Rydia earlier and that Rat Tail earlier, then it's not going to be, it's going to save him time.
This is very, very true. It's not worth picking up the Cecil for Invenerable. Woo Bear finding a cane and then Baigen as the ruby spot. Though we've already found Octomam, so no need to go tangle with those two bosses.
Yeah, found Octomam, and we know whether or not you've completed it, we know where the demist is, so no boss needed to be checked in there. I believe Woobear did find a Dragoon Lance, so I think that's the reason why keeping Kane at this place makes a lot of sense.
Very, very true. And then replaces Porum. As much as I love Porum, and she has saved me multiple times, with a Rosa and the party you have, it makes total sense.
Yeah, Rose is a little bit more survivable. The real downside, I think, with this sort of party is you have to complete Mount Zot in order for her to learn Exit. And it looked like Woobear used this last Exit to get out of the Evelyn Cave, so...
This is true, but there's not a whole lot of places left where you're going to want Exit, except for diving down on the moon if you're looking for that rat tail.
Yeah, and using an Exit to get out of the moon is going to be a lot safer than walking out of the moon with this.
Very, very true. Though, there is a chance that you probably want to do Zot before you do the moon, if you can, because you're looking for Rydia anyways.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you there. But since we don't have the Earth Crystal yet, we don't know whether or not that's even going to be a possibility.
And just to mention something that was said in chat, yes, there is a flag that you can turn on that disables encounters, but leaves on surprise and back attacks. And that flag is on tonight. And that's why Invenerable, Kinda Nerdy Housewife, Baka Shinobi, and Woobear have been having random attacks that they're probably not too happy to see.
Yeah, I think we could have made it even worse if I believe there's a flag that you can't run from back attacks. But in any case, in this flag say you can run from them.
Oh yeah, there is a flag that you can't run from battles, but thankfully for our runners, that is not enabled tonight.
Yeah. Invenerable now going down into the Fame Arch is going to be happy to find that Darkness Crystal.
He will be very happy to see that Darkness Crystal. Baka wrapping up this gauntlet at the back attack on Ordeals, and it looks like Woobear is going to scramble an egg.
Dark Valley of the Moon might be haunted tonight. We still don't have anybody who's checked the music location, so we still have a key item check available on the overworld. I don't think anybody's done Dwarf Castle yet, unless I forgot.
No one has done Dwarf Castle yet. We still have the top of top of Lower Babel to do if you want to do a key item check. We still have the Pan to check. Of course, we have Twin Harp as well.
Yeah, as Maggie says, the Dwarf Castle glitch is on. People might be waiting for a Black Mage, especially Rydia, who learns Warp at such a low level, to complete that.
Or even if you run into the Sand Ruby and could go pick up that Tella, that would be another nice one. And Woobear definitely doing some grinding here, getting those levels on Rosa, Edward, and Kane since they just came into the party. I really like this plan.
Yeah, and with those Artie arrows on Sid, taking care of those eggs is no problem.
Artie arrows and Artie bow, that Sid's going to shred through these eggs and get you pretty solid experience to get your party jump started.
Yeah, and that's a gamble too, because if it turns out to be a short seed, then this grind might not be necessary.
No, but it is a very quick grind, thankfully, and it'll allow you to get through, the Dwarf Castle if you need to do Upper or Lower Babel, and it'll make getting through Sylph and Feymarch caves much safer.
For sure.
And Woobear running into the Luca, preventing him from being able to get through to the Dwarf Castle, and we see Pain Man as the first boss. And it looks like Invenerable is going to go turn in this pan real quick. Kind of nerdy housewife finding her Octomam on the throne. And the pan leads to just a Stardust and the pass. The pass is totally worthless. So Blue Bear taking on this Pain Man with a little bit of grinding shouldn't have too much trouble. Rosa has Cure 3, gonna heal up, be perfectly fine. Baka Shinobi gonna be the first of our runners to make his way onto the moon. Check that character, see what's there, and might even get the experience from Pain Man on this Edward. Yes, he does. Invenerable now doing a little bit of an egg grind himself, gonna get some levels on his party. And kind of nerdy housewife looks like she's not having too much trouble with this Octomam. Our moon character is going to be that's a Palom. So Palom is nice find here. He is a black mage, so now you'll have access to that warp spell once you grind him up some. So definitely very useful for doing the Dwarf Castle if you want to make use of the Dwarf Castle glitch. Woo Bear finds an edge from Dwarf Castle, not the character you're looking for. So our character checks left are the Giant and Tower of Zot. So you definitely need to find that Earth Crystal. And it looks like Woo Bear is going to do that hairdryer chest, get that experience on Cecil, be ready to go with him. And Ruby in this Golbez fight makes quick work of it. Meanwhile, kinda nerdy housewife wraps up her Octomam fight, gonna be rewarded with her own pan and gets that Rosa. Probably very happy to see that.
Yeah, like most runners, I agree with you. I think kinda nerdy's gonna be very happy to see that. We see Baka Shinobi get that hourglass on those hair dryers or moon cells, Proclo, Juklo, whatever you want to call them. And so now, but taking a reset anyways.
It looks like his Sid ran out of arrows, so he took off the bow.
Yeah, not sure what was going on there then.
But Baka also found a Palom, so we'll be able to make use of that warp glitch if he so chooses.
Yeah, we'll have access to the Palom, as well as a much higher level Cecil as well once this hairdryer's chest is complete.
And shouldn't have too much trouble. That Sid is reasonably leveled with an Artemis bow and samurai arrows, no trouble whatsoever. And
yeah, as long as that hourglass gets off, which is getting off right now, the fight is basically won. And you want to get as many life glitches as you can in there, but you just do what you can.
And Invenerable now taking on the Pain Man himself. Pain Man in this spot actually does hurt.
Yeah, that spot there in the Dwarf Castle is quite a strong physical puncher. It might be going by the big doll's strength, because that's a strong hit. Oh wow, that's another crystal sword in mist. I don't know, maybe the other runners saw that. That's the first time I saw that.
I think Woo Bear looted mist, but he doesn't have the package yet, so doesn't even know about the Cecil. Kinda nerdy housewife has the Cecil if she goes and finishes Kaipo, but doesn't want to play with Golbez, and I do not blame her whatsoever there. And we see those levels for Cecil and Porum and just his party in general coming in. Baka's gonna have a nice little bit of a slingshot for them.
Yeah, that's a lot of levels in one go. I wonder if that ends up being more efficient than the couple of eggs that we saw earlier.
Cecil already at level 30. That's a pretty solid level for him. 1300 HP, almost getting close to 1400. I'd be pretty happy with that.
Oh, it's a great, like, especially since he's got access to that sword too. Um, the moon shouldn't be too much of a problem. There's still going to be a boss here or there that could be very difficult, but you could do as much of the moon as you want now, I think. But it looks like Bakashobi does not want the moon quite yet. Let's go back to the blue planet.
No, there's still a lot you can do on the blue planet, and the only thing you'd be looking for on the moon at this point would be the Earth Crystal and the Rat Tail.
Right.
Kinda Dirty Housewife also making the play for the Eblon Cave. Gonna be rewarded with that cane. But yeah, that's Cecil. Crystal Sword, Crystal Ring. That Cecil's very much online. Now gonna make his way into the Baron fights, and we're gonna see him blitz through these even faster.
Yeah, this won't take long.
And Dwarf Castle only leading to a power shirt. I missed that on Woo Bear's side.
Well, that was interesting. Venerable decides to reset out of there. That leaves the possibility for the dwarf glitch open later. So I imagine that would be the only reason why you'd want to reset at that point.
No, it makes perfect sense. It's not a key item. You know the dwarf glitch is on. So you just go ahead and reset and save it for later in case when you do find someone that is capable of casting warp. So hopefully you don't have to dive down into the sealed cave.
Right, exactly. It's you still have to go through the time of fighting those bosses again, and you're giving up on that edge, but you don't need the edge to complete the seed, and this could definitely save some time. Looks like Invenerable is going to make the play to the top of the tower, which we haven't seen yet, so that's going to be something new.
Yep, this is the first person to make their way up the tower and doesn't have the tower key. And Woo Bear getting the bad news from the pan, it is worthless.
Yeah, that pass is, since we don't require the Z fight on this flag, that pass is just a piece of paper, basically.
Does get a Stardust Rod, so if he goes to the moon and decides to take that Palom will have some pretty solid DPS with his magic, but... And top of tower looks like it's going to be the King Queen Eblon fight. Gonna be a pretty free and easy fight.
Yeah, and since it's a boss bot that has actually quite a bit of HP, probably the best thing to do is just put down your controller and wait for them to kill themselves.
I mean, that's what I do half the time.
Yeah, sometimes I'll do that when it's in Mist Cave.
But Woo Bear turning in his Darkness Crystal, gonna make his way up to the moon and find that Palom. Baka now gonna find his Octomam. So all of our runners have completed two objectives at this point. Everyone's still looking for Rydia, and everyone is still looking for that Rat Tail.
Yeah, and that music spot is still open for everybody. Nobody's checked that. Wouldn't it be something if the Twin Harp led to the Rat Tail, which led to the Earth Crystal, which led to Rydia?
That would be some great entertainment. And some pretty salty runners.
Yes. I will note that I mentioned at the top of the broadcast that we do have about 10 other people running tonight. We don't have any finishes yet, so keep that in mind.
And it looked like top of tower was nothing, so Invenerable resets out of there. Makes sense. You don't want to walk your way back down from that.
Yeah, Invenerable, a very smart runner, making good use of resetting to save time instead of walking out. You give up on some experience here and there, and an edge and a power robe and other things like that, but what you're giving up with in that you're making up with in time. The gamble is that you're not going to need that power rope. You're not going to need that experience. You're not going to need edge in order to complete it. And this is just going to be a faster way overall to complete the seed.
And Veneral being the hero of the stream, going to be our first runner with the starting Twin Harp to give us music. So this could lead to a lot of things. It could lead to our Rat Tail, or it could lead to the Earth Crystal.
The other place that we haven't seen anybody check yet that is a potential place for Rydia is that Giant of Babel. I don't think there's a lot of people who are going to want to check there.
I think after you've checked Earth Crystal and you realize, oh boy, it's time to do Giants, you're going to see a lot of runners running to the Giants. And it looks like Woo Bear is making the play to go into the Lunar Subterrane.
Yeah, the first of our runners jumps down there and immediately gets a back attack. Luckily, it's just a lone Warlock. Not going to be too scary of a fight, but you can see even that Warlock punches for like 300 damage. So that's kind of scary.
Luckily, Woo Bear has done some grinding, so his party is prepared for this moon, so shouldn't have too much trouble.
Yeah, in this flag set, if you're going to go to the moon, you better be prepared.
And Venerable gets the me attack you, and Kinda Nerdy Housewife doing Sylph K.
The tiny toads doing what they do. ATGG77, there's a race to Earth Crystal Tower Key. Possibly. Those could lead to it. We don't really know what's going to be needed in order to complete it. The Rat Tail could be on the moon. The Rydia could be at the back of Giant. So it's not necessarily those things that we're looking for. But I'm sure anyone who does find that Earth Crystal is going to zoom to the Tower of Zot to try to find Rydia as soon as possible.
So my question for Chad is, how much do you think a turtle can dance?
Well, I don't know if he's a party dude like Michelangelo, but Knazo does go down pretty easily to Invenerable's team, so that's nice. That's a good song selection for DJ Spoonie B's Rockin' Tunes. So,
Dancing Mad, always a great song to get. And that is a tower key, so definitely want to walk that out.
Yeah, that's not going to be a reset there for sure.
And Woo Bear, I don't know if that was a siren or a back attack, but ran into some King Ryus.
That was a siren.
And Baka Shinobi wraps up Dwarf Castle and probably going to make use of that warp glitch once he brings Palom back to life.
Yeah, so
unfortunately.
Oh, he doesn't know warp yet.
Oh, that's
a rough thing. Palom learns warp at a very high level. Rydia learns warp at a very low level. That is like one of the few downsides or one of the few advantages as a black mage that Rydia has over Palom.
Unless, of course, you get an early Bahamut for her or Sylph. But yeah, Palom generally the better black mage over Rydia, but his warp spell comes very late. And Invenerable immediately making use of that tower key heading up. Baka Shinobi also going up tower. Unfortunately, not going to have the tower key.
Yeah, so I mean, that's just a reason to go to music early. Save you some time.
Well, in Baka's defense, Invenerable also ran up here, and we have a Lunar Sparkle. It is just Pale Dim.
Yeah, that Pale Dim should not be a problem at all. And it isn't.
I don't think there's any boss that's a problem here, except for maybe Golbez being annoying.
Golbez is annoying at that spot without a doubt.
Looks like Woobear wrapping up some grinding. Rosa now has Cure 4. That's always great to see.
I missed. Did Woobear do the altar there where the Pale Dim is?
I didn't see him do it.
Our tracker Gambit says no. Big shout outs to Gambit doing our tracking tonight, and also to Smapedy on the restream, making this a really well made production tonight.
And of course, you know, Tracker's always keeping us in check because we miss a lot of things, surprisingly.
Oh, Kind of Nerdy Housewife seeing one of the more dangerous fights. 2 warriors, 4 fiends, able to run before they do a lot of damage there. So.
Yeah, that's... Feymarch is no joke when you're running through there. Ooh, there's our rat tail. So Twin Harp is required tonight.
Yeah, everybody putting that off, and they do need to do that. Let's see what that rat tail. I'm sure it's not going to take too much longer for Invenerable to turn in that rat tail and see if, you know, my prediction was it would lead to Rydia. So let's see.
It's just the Legend Sword. So our only things we need left, we want to find that Earth Crystal ASAP to do Tower of Zod, or Rydia could be at the Giant. And we all know where chat's hoping she's going to be.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if anybody's going to gamble that, like, if the Earth Crystal isn't found relatively soon, we'll see if anybody decides to make that plunge into the Giant to check to see if Rydia is hiding out there.
And just a big shout out to Groundflyer for gifting out 5 subs to our channel. That is really amazing and greatly appreciated. And Invenerable looks like he is going to go start making the play towards the moon. Maybe gamble that Rydia's at the Giant after seeing the Palom there?
We're finding the elements on the moon.
Elements isn't too bad. Unfortunately, you know, you don't have the Palom or someone to reflect onto that Scarmeleon? Names are escaping. Milon, that's it.
Go Milon Z.
Names are hard. I played a lot more of the PSP and other releases, so I know there are other. Yep.
But yet you're Valvolus Skunk and not Barbaricia Skunk.
I actually got Valvolus from a Norse mythology, so...
Well, I mean, right now you're doing commentary for Final Fantasy IV, so what am I supposed to think?
I've already given up with that argument, and I want to have a petition to change Free Enterprise's Valvolus back to Barbaricia, but I will take my beatings.
Fair enough. We are now on that valveless portion of the elements fight, the last hurdle. So should be getting through this without too much more problem.
Very, very true. And Invenerable now going to be rewarded with his Palom, and not quite sure what Baka Shinobi's doing. Maybe going back to the moon? Yep.
To answer the question in chat for Zerobora, do they only have to do those 4 objectives to win the seed? That is correct. You can set, when you do the alternate objectives in the beta, to make it so that either you win the game when you complete the objectives, or you're given the crystal when you complete the objectives. In this one, you win the game. You do not have to fight Cerebus.
Woobear greatly rewarded from that Pale Dim altar with an adamant armor. So that Spoonword's going to do work.
Yeah, he was really good before, and now he's even more good. And Baka Housewife heading up to the Cave Magnus, going on the right path.
Gonna get the good news eventually about that rat tail behind the tower key. Baka Shinobi finally turning in that D-miss check, rewarded with the spoon. Unfortunately for him, he gave up the Edward.
Yeah. I mean, when you don't have the spoon, giving up the Edward seems like a smart play.
But as soon as you find it, it's always just like, sigh.
For Firebird Lover in the chat, chasing down key character spots. Most of the character spots have already been checked. The only things that we have left, if I recall correctly, are the Earth Crystal, the tower which would lead to the Tower of Zot, and the back of the Giant.
That's our only 2 checks. Invenerable, it looks like he ran into some warlocks and making use of coffins. But our runners, you see what this danger flag can do, especially in the lunar subterranean. These back attacks, they're not fun.
Yeah, Invenerable taking advantage because the warlocks give really good experience in general. So if you have to fight them, you might as well get the experience.
This is very, very true. Though it is pretty annoying when you're trying to just quickly rush to do something and you keep getting back attacked.
Yeah, Firebird Lover, I wouldn't be surprised if we see somebody make that gamble onto the Giant at some point, but I think people want to at least give their good try to find that Earth Crystal first. But I wouldn't be surprised. Kind of Dirty Housewife is the only one left who might make that play to go to the Giant first of our featured runners, but especially just among the entire race tonight, I definitely believe that there's somebody who's made that gamble.
It's likely, we won't know until someone finishes and our runners reveal where Rydia is. But 3 of our runners are making their way through this lunar subterranean, and you can see these back attacks are no joke. And with some fairly different parties across all of them. Oh, speaking of Valvelus, we found her at the D-Lunar spot.
Yeah, Wu has that Edward who's supercharged, and it looks like hitting Valvelus with physical attacks is not a problem at this fight, so still going to jump with Kane and get her out of the tornado form, but shouldn't be too much of a problem for Wu Bear there. Meanwhile, Kind of Dirty Housewife made it to the bottom of Cave Magnus, and my Google Chrome just crashed on me. So I'm gonna have to load up this again.
Well, while you're loading it up, Invenerable gets into another surprise attack. Val is not going to survive very long. And Baka is not far behind Woo Bear on his way down, running into plenty of encounters. And Kinda Nerdy Housewife taking on K Natso shouldn't have any trouble while enjoying the music of Dancing Mad.
Yeah, whether it's on the SNES sound chip, the harp that's on here, or a full orchestra, Dancing Mad is so great.
I mean, Final Fantasy IV and Final Fantasy VI, two of the best, and obviously we enjoy 4 just slightly more.
At least tonight.
Well, just in general for me, but yes. Baka Shinobi almost down to these these checks down here where Woo Bear is. Invenerable really close to where Woo Bear is as well. The one thing though is Invenerable has found and turned in that rat tail, whereas Woo Bear and Baka still have to do the twin harp. Oh, we found the crystal.
Well, that crystal is a nice, pretty rock. It's not going to do us a whole lot of good.
It's nice and shiny and can remind you of the sprite we will not get to see tonight. Oh, that's a nope rope at the plague spot.
Yeah, finding that Ogopogo anywhere on the moon is pretty scary. I mean, even if it's a vanilla position, it's a scary boss.
And Invenerable just not wanting to play with that.
Yeah, wants to do some adjustments before taking on this boss. Since Invenerable's gone to the moon, he's basically committed to beating all the bosses down here. Just wants to do some prep work. Looks like going to go to that Valvalus spot first before heading on Ogopogo. Woo Bear has that Super Edward, so it's going to be a little bit easier to deal with that Ogopogo.
Not only that, Woo Bear's Rosa has significantly more levels, so Rosa knows Cure 4, so Ogopogo is a lot less scary for him.
That's a good point. Cure 4 makes Ogopogo a lot less scary. With that percentage-based double big wave at the beginning, you can get healed up after that. That makes it a lot safer.
Though, if Rosa decides she wants to take a dirt nap, not a lot you can do.
Well, you still have Super Edward.
Unfortunately, adamant armor does not help against the big waves.
No, but dealing 4,000 damage every time you hit does help.
Yes, it does. And Woo Bear, quick work of that nope rope.
Get Cooped asking, where was Rydia and did we find Octomam? We found Octomam in Baron on the throne, but we have not found Rydia yet. And PMA file, we've got about 14 racing tonight.
And just to let you know, the only two places Rydia could possibly be is Tower of Zot. So we're looking for that Earth Crystal or at the Giant. And of course, I'm definitely hoping for Giant.
Yeah, we've seen most of the boss spots here on the bottom of the moon, and we haven't found the Earth Crystal yet. Now we do have that Luca key. Nobody's had warp when they've done the Dwarf Castle check, so so it could be that the Earth Crystal is behind Luca key too.
And Woo Bear running into one of the worst encounters you can find down here, the Red D.
Yeah, that's a scary one.
And if I'm not mistaken, there's actually 3 of them there, something like that.
Now, some of them are 1 and some of them are 3. It's hard to tell. Ooh, Wyvern. I think we have Witchburn on tonight, right?
I believe it is Witchburn.
Fire 1 as the opening attack.
Wyvern's just not feeling himself today.
It's like you see this big dragon and it's just like coughs a little bit of smoke or something like that.
He just has a little bit of a cold, that's all.
The pilot light was out, that's all. Invenerable making use of the blink status to help protect against Valvalus's punches there. And the status effect that I think is still a bit underrated in general. You don't see it as often as I like to use. So it's very good on bosses that use physical attacks.
I blinked and missed it, and Woo Bear's already killed Wyvern.
Got just a ribbon for his troubles as well.
I mean,
the ribbon is nice.
I mean, though, he's like finished with all the hard spots. He just has the Wyvern spot left here. The ribbon is there.
Yeah, and he just reset out of that instead of walking back. Considering I don't think he has exit, and
yeah, he doesn't have exit, so
he's got to walk out.
He's got to walk out, and Baka and Invenerable both chose to keep their Porum, so they definitely have access to exit.
Yeah, I mean, Woo Bear is not really in danger because of the high levels and everything like that, but it's just going to be longer. Oh, and it looks like he hasn't checked the Wyvern vanilla spot yet, too, so it does have another check here in the Lunar Subterrane first.
And this will be his last check. I don't think Baka and Invenerable have checked Palladium's spot, so they'll be happy-ish that they find an adamant armor there, but...
Yeah, at this point, when you've completed most of these really hard spots on the moon, you don't really care about gear anymore. You just want to get those objectives done.
This is very true, and I don't know, maybe Woo Bear has a save outside that he could reset to if nothing's here that's helpful. I mean,
I don't think he's going to want to do that because he found that Luca down there.
But you could, he could find that sand ruby on the top of tower and just use Tella.
I guess that's true.
But we find Plague at Wyvern. Plague hoping for an upgrade, but it's still Plague.
Yeah. Plague is just Plague. Making good use of Edward's hide ability here. To avoid that countdown, get a free reset of the countdown. And now Super Edward should be able to help take down Plague from here on out. I think this is just a really smartly played fight by Woo Bear.
It very well is. This Plague's gonna be mincemeat pretty soon. But if this doesn't lead to the Earth Crystal, ooh. If this isn't the Earth Crystal, it could potentially be Pinktail or Adamant.
It is the Pinktail.
Well, I mean, that's a second Adamant armor for... that's there, I guess.
And Woo Bear checking the key item inventory like, seriously? I don't have it?
Oh, but Woo Bear did save after doing Dwarf Castle, so he's going to be happy about that Luca key. So definitely going to have to make a trek out of here.
Yeah, going to have to make the reverse walk of shame.
And to answer chat, Earth Crystal cannot be behind Bahamut because summoned monsters will not have our key items. So the Sylphs, Leviathan, Asura, and Bahamut don't have key items tonight.
So it's got to be that Luca key, right?
It's Luca has to lead to the Earth Crystal, which will lead to the Adamant.
but that Earth key or that Earth crystal might not have Rydia. Rydia might only be found in the Giant.
So here's the question you would have to pose to Woo Bear. Would you go to Giant since you've already done Dwarf Castle and can't make use of that glitch? Or do you go to Luca Cave and hope that the two characters are there?
And the other question is with Kinda Nerdy Housewife, who's just activating the big whale now, has not been to the moon. Does she gamble on the Giant? I mean, I'm guessing that she's going to check the character, the Lunar Palace character first. But after that, do you go to Giant first? Like, is that the gamble that you want to make at this point?
Oh, and as Maggie's pointing out, Woo Bear still hasn't done music, so he definitely has all those checks left. As for Kinda Nerdy
hasn't even done Antlion King.
Oh yeah, he's got a lot of checks left to him. Probably not too thrilled about skipping some.
Venerable running into an evil mask as a random encounter.
I would be happy to run into an evil mask because they spend a lot of time to set up and plenty of time for you to run away.
Rare evil mask sighting in Free Enterprise.
Baka Shinobi now on his I'm giving it my all kinda wyvern fight. And Invenerable also in his kind of wyvern being somewhat threatening fight. Oh, and we have our first place finisher, Dragus, with a time of 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 9 seconds.
Big G's to Dragus. Now the question is Dragus the sort of chap who's going to go and gamble on the Giant?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I just want to see the Giant. Ooh, and Woo Bear's going there. Woo Bear doesn't have the rat tail yet either, too. That's another thing to consider.
Woo Bear's got a lot of checks and going for the Giant. I love it. And Invenerable resets after getting his ribbon, and it looks like Baka walking it out. To answer chat,
where is Rydia? We don't know yet.
Ooh, Invenerable running into the blue dragon. That's fun.
Those double blue Ds are very nasty.
Yes, they are. They are.
Kinda Dirty Housewife getting the bad news that Rydia is not the character up in the Lunar Palace. ATG 77, we did check Tower Key. That led to the Rat Tail, which was an objective.
And the Tower Key is behind the Twin Harp, which everyone started with. And Venerable now on his plague fight, Baka Shinobi hot on his heels behind him. And yes, it was Baka that had Palom at Dwarf Castle, but didn't quite have enough levels for Warp.
All right, now we get to see who our Giant boss is. Ooh.
Oh,
that's a mean one.
That's spicy. Evil Wall cheats, and
Evil Wall does cheat.
Luckily, Woo Bear does have that adamant spoon word, so Evil Wall's not going to be an actual threat. But imagine those that don't have it.
Yeah, without the adamant armor, this is a much scarier fight.
And even though, Evil Wall is hitting for like 700. That's not the worst. This spot has a lot of HP, something like, I don't know exact numbers, but it's a lot, and it's not fun to get through.
Insult 2, I don't think any hide strats works in this location because Evil Wall has just too much HP in this spot.
Yeah, I've tried hide spots here. Evil Wall will not kill himself.
Because once you get to the crush phase, he doesn't hit himself anymore.
Invenerable making his way back to the blue planet. Is he going to the giant? Doesn't look like it.
No, I think he's going to go check the sealed cave. Maybe going to be using that. Well, he's going to get another adamant armor first, but then might be going to use that dwarf castle glitch to get down to the bottom and check that sealed cave.
Doesn't Venerable have a black mage now?
He has Palom, doesn't he? Maybe I guess he did.
I don't know if he took him. I don't remember.
Well, then maybe he'll walk down.
But he does have that adamant spoon word online, and Baka is going to take on this Pale Dim spot, so will be rewarded with an adamant armor. Invenerable going to the... He's going to the Odin spot, but that's not going to lead to a key item.
Yeah, I don't know if he is just blanking on flags right now. Because there's no boss hunts that he has left. He's found Octomam. He's found Mist Dragon. So I think he's just blanking and thinking this might be a key item spot.
I think that's the case, is he thinks it's a key item and just forgot. But something we could definitely ask him about when it's time for the interview. And Woo Bear through that evil wall, getting ready to take on.
Ooh, Antlion. This is a mean Antlion spot.
Just a little bit.
I mean, we've got adamant armor once again, so I mean, it's not really all that scary. But in non-adamant seeds, this is a scary fight here.
Not only do we have adamant armor, Eddie has 1,000 HP. That's a very scary bard.
Now, the thing is, like, for Invenerable, if he finds Rydia, or kind of Nerdy Housewife for that matter, if they find Rydia, they win. If Woo Bear finds Rydia behind Giant here, he still needs to find that rat tail.
And he's got a lot of checks. He's still got the Antlion spot. He's still got Twin. He wants to go to Twin Harp. He's got the Luca key. He's still got Tower of Babel. So he might have quite a bit left to go. But is Rydia in the Giant? That's what everyone wants.
As Invenerable enters the sealed cave, and there she is.
Ooh,
the summoner from Mist found. Now there could be another Rydia on top of the Tower of Zot. We do not know, but my guess, just because we've only seen one person finish, I'm guessing that this is the only Rydia.
Very likely this is the only Rydia. We know one of the Zot characters is going to be Fu, and it will be a duplicate. So now Woo Bear has the Rydia, and Baka is going to make use of the warp glitch in the Dwarf Castle. Now that his Palom, does know warp.
I think, does kind of Nerdy have the warp spell?
I believe she
does.
Yeah.
She's actually going to be the first to see this.
This is this was very intelligent play from Kinda Nerdy Housewife. She went to the moon, got Palom. There's our Earth crystal. We all kind of knew that's where it was.
Right.
And she decided, I'm going to grind them up and use the warp spell.
Now, if the duplicate character up on the top of the Tower of Zot is a duplicate Rydia, Kinda Nerdy Housewife might sneak into the win here on our, as far as our 4 featured runners go.
I would love that.
Wouldn't that be something?
Invenerable, unfortunately, doesn't have warp and has to fight his way back out of the sealed cave. So not only does he have to do this fight, he has to walk the entire way out. He cannot use the warp shenanigans. And Woo Bear not on the right track quite yet, going to the top of tower first. Though I guess this would be kind of more of the middle of the tower rather than the top, since it's split in two.
The architect who designed the Tower of Babel, I don't know what they were thinking.
I don't know how they did it, but...
So Baka Shinobi now has that Earth Crystal, and it also used the Warp Glitch to get there, so is not going to have to fight that nasty CPU that Invenerable is tangled up with right now.
No, he does not. That's going to be... he's going to go straight to the Tower of Zot. But if there isn't a Rydia here... that just makes things pretty interesting for our runners. But keep in mind, Baka has not gotten the rat tail, so he still needs to do Twin Harp.
Yeah, since it's been mentioned a little bit in chat, the strategy that Invenerable is using here on this is a way to get around and being able to berserk. Because one of the big things about the CPU is you're not supposed to be able to just berserk your fighters, but you could use the blink spell on the attacker orb so that a couple physical attacks will miss, and then you just re-up that blink when you have to, and your Zerkers can go and do big damage and hopefully hit the CPU, and if not, you could just reapply the blink and you'd avoid that nasty Globe 199.
And Woo Bear getting the sad news that that's just a sand ruby. Not even going to take it.
Key and looks like probably... well, I don't know. It depends on whether or not Baka Shinobi's peaked. Oh no, Baka Shinobi... Yeah, I don't know if he's peaked the Kaipo bed character, so is not chancing it. Either that or didn't make a save down outside of the tower.
Ooh, Woo Bear finally on the right track. Gonna go check our music.
Yeah, this is going to be a big one. Like, if we're talking about the 4 featured runners who's racing each other, if Kinda Nerdy Housewife wins, she needs that extra character on the top of Zot to be Rydia. And she needs to be able to defeat the second boss up here before Woo Bear finishes the chain that'll lead to the rat tail.
If this character is Rydia, my money is on Kinda Nerdy Housewife. There's our Fu. What's our second character?
Well, Baka Shinobi is right there too, but Baka Shinobi doesn't have that rat tail.
A little bit of a nail biter right now, and Invenerable going to go straight up Tower of Zot as well.
Yeah, he's a little bit behind because of the slower method to get that Earth Crystal. It is not Rydia. It is our duplicate is Edge.
That's not what you want to see. I'm surprised Kinda Nerdy Housewife isn't resetting here and going to the giant.
Well, Kinda Nerdy hasn't done anything on the moon, so...
But she's already done the rat tail. She's already killed Octomam, and she's already done... What was the other objective? I forgot. Oh. Completed Mount Ordeals. She's literally just looking for Rydia.
That's a good point. as long as she makes the heads up play and realizes that the only character that's left is behind the giant, then yeah, she should be heading there next.
And just to point out, as chat said, our only Rydia is at the top of giant, so that's
and
no.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't think she has a save outside of Zot, so this actually could be faster for her rather than trying to walk all the way out.
That may be.
Woo Bear now getting his dancing mad music.
Yeah, Treno says might be doing it to keep Fu. She decided not to keep Fu already. She's done her leveling with her eggs. She's happy with her level.
And Baka wrapping up his towers out. He's still looking for the rat tail, but this is going to only lead to one thing, and that's the adamant. Invenerable now taking on his Mylon Z just behind Baka and kind of nerdy housewife as they finish up Asura. And Baka getting the bad news that Earth Crystal, no Rydia, no Rat Tail.
Looks like Baka's heading over to the big whale, and I guess is going to be doing that giant. That should be where kind of nerdy housewife goes next as well.
The question is can kind of nerdy finish up this giant before Woo Bear does his tower key?
Yeah, that's a question. Now, kind of nerdy didn't do all that moon stuff, so she does not have those adamant armors that were found up there.
No, that evil wall is going to be pretty scary for her.
Yeah, she's not going to have the advantage of a Super Eddie with a spoon and adamant armor, because I believe there was a regular adamant armor and the pigtail were both found on the moon.
This is very true. So if you wanted some adamant armors, you have to do the moon, more than likely. But I don't know. I think she might have some other stuff that'll at least let her get through the fight as long as she plays it right.
Yeah, this is going to be a challenging couple of battles for her, but if she can get through it, then she'll end up finishing in a very good time.
But meanwhile, Woo Bear now has tower key in hand, rushing over to that check that. Definitely going to want to check that before he dives that Luca key.
Yeah, the half tower is a lot shorter.
Baka Shinobi about to get into his evil wall fight. Does have an adamant armor and crystal sword Cecil, so gonna use a pretty similar strategy against him. Not gonna have any trouble with this evil wall.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too much of a problem for him. Although he wants to change his setup a little bit, it looks like.
Yep, sees evil wall, wants to switch things up, make sure everything is set up properly.
He doesn't have an adamant armor on Cecil.
He might have reset out of it. Woo Bear has taken down Pale Dim. Once he gets out of this tower, he will have his rat tail.
Venerable taking the Serpent Road to Mystidia.
I like it.
It's a more sophisticated mode of transportation. Although it does say in one of the NPCs says it drains your stamina, whatever that means.
I think they explained that in another game, and it really Even
All right, both kind of nerdy and Baka Shinobi on that.
And we can really see the difference in the levels. Kind of nerdy, not putting out that much damage, but hopefully can keep up with healing and be able to get through this fight. Baka, meanwhile, has a lot of levels, some pretty solid equipment for his party. Shouldn't have any trouble with Evil.
Yeah, this is for Baka. I don't think it's going to be much difficult at all. But for kind of nerdy with the lower levels without the animation, I think it's going to be a bit of a challenge. I don't think it's impossible. That said, I don't think it's going to be easy.
No, this is going to be a pretty long fight for her. But if she could survive to the crush phase, she should be okay. And Woo Bear, about to turn in his rat tail, gonna be the first of our on-stream runners to finish this. Wait, what are you doing?
Was he given a crystal?
I think he's just showing something off for us. And there's the reset from Kinda Nerdy Housewife. Yeah, he was trying to show off what you could do with Zeromus when you can't fight him. Unfortunately, you can't even get to.
And there we are. Congratulations. Woo Bear finishes second place overall at a time of 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 19 seconds. Big GG's to Woo Bear being our first on-stream runner to finish.
That was definitely an interesting seed that our restreamer rolled for.
Ooh, looks like Kinda Nerdy is running out of the giant. Might be going to level somewhere.
And it looks like we're joined with Woo Bear. GG, well played.
Thank you.
So, Rydia at giant.
Yeah, I kind of expected some shenanigans like that was going to go on. I figured I'd roll the dice because I didn't have Earth Crystal or Package, and those were the only other checks. So I was like, may as well.
Yeah, the package was at the Antlion Cave, a very normally an early check, and you just decided to avoid that.
I forgot. I didn't want to do it early because I didn't have exit at the time, and then it just kind of slipped my mind, I guess.
Looked like you didn't have exit for the most of the seed.
Yeah. I get rid of my poor. I don't know. I went with an interesting party setup because I was like, you can't give up Spoon Word, and Sid with Artemis Bow is cool. And I was like, you know, I'm just going to keep everyone. Ed, Sia, Porum, you can take a walk. And I was like, maybe I should have kept that exit. Whatever. Took a jaunt around the lunar subterranean.
Also, I appreciate you trying to show off what happens when you go to Zeromus and can't fight him, but still got to show off another little thing that happens.
Oh, I wanted to so bad. I wanted to show the fupa, but yeah, no deal.
Yeah, it doesn't even let you head there, even though you've got a pass.
Even had the crystal. So,
I didn't. Sorry.
I was going to ask you, what were your thoughts on the this flag set, since it's a little bit more random than usual?
That's about sums it up. It's super random. That's what we were talking pre-game. Like, you know, a couple of people were like, "Oh, I hope it doesn't go too long." It's like it could go super long, or it could be like 10 minutes. You know, it all depends on what the objectives are.
Yeah, it just kind of eliminates your ability to route before the seed starts. You've got to be able to route on the fly as well. and it looks like you made some decisions based on that, huh?
Oh yeah. Especially when it's like character based, it definitely puts a higher priority on like Baron. I went to Baron early and lucked out. Octoman was there, which was cool, and higher priority on like Dwarf Castle and stuff like that. And Ordeals was already part of the objectives, but when you have certain bosses that you're looking for, it also prioritizes like Ordeals because there's 3 bosses up there, so it makes it that much better, So definitely switches things up, which is fun.
No. Yeah, we were talking about that pretty early in the seed too, about how you're hoping to like double up on the objectives if you go to Ordeals and you find something. It turns out you found something that was needed in that hook up at the top of Ordeals, and so you're able to knock out an objective while getting a key item, and that's kind of the dream on a seed like this, huh?
Oh, absolutely. It was nice to see the hook. It was nice to see Octomam, and my early game was pretty good. After that, it kind of got weird because I didn't have exit, so it was taking a lot of extra time. But it was really good early game for those.
The only other question I have is, what did you think of just constantly getting back attack and surprise attacks, especially in like Sylph Cave and Feymarch?
It's depressing. Oh, Fusolia was in. Saw it. Anyway, it's really depressing. That's why when I got I checked Hook early to see the character, which was annoying, but I found Siren, so I was like, that's cool. So I tried to get some early levels because I think that helps mitigate some of the back attacks and such if you're a higher level than the area you're in. So it wasn't too bad, but it's really, and especially in Luna Subterrane, I got hit like 3 times on like 5 tiles. And it's like, okay, I get it. You can stop now.
Well, once again, thank you for joining us, and thank you for letting us watch your stream tonight, Woobear.
No problem. Thank you for having me. GG.
GG, well played.
Goodbye.
And while we were talking to Woobear, we had a couple finishes. Poydrak finished in 3rd place at 134.48, and our second restreamed runner, Invenerable, has finished at 136.49. And
he can say he is no longer always second, and we are currently joined by him. GG, well played, Invenerable.
Would you like to hear a tale of the dangers of metagaming?
I can only imagine.
So, full clear most of the Earth, purposely leave the warp thing hanging, get to the moon. I'm like, no one's done yet. Nothing seemed to be in that dangerous a location. If it's on the Giant, we're going to see a whole bunch of people wrapping up fairly soon, and then I can quit Diving Moon and go back. About 12 minutes later, no one's done, and then finally Dragus crosses the finish line. I'm like, okay, what places did I kind of leave hanging? I thought back to the Odin spot, and then, of course, as soon as I ditched Palom on the Moon, I thought, wouldn't it be great, because I committed to doing Earth Crystal instead of doing Giant. Right. Like, wouldn't it be great if it were Earth Crystal with Iridia, and Dragus is the only one who took that Palom, got Warp, and took the easy way out. And so, go and do all that, and then you see the Fu and the Edge in Zot, and you're just like, what? Why is no one else done? And then you finally get to the Giant, and you run into Evil Wall and Antline, and you're like, oh, that's why no one else was done.
Right.
Perfectly explained in that regard. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Made the wrong gambles, made the wrong predictions as to what was happening based on other people's times, but fun little seed. I like the hidden Iridia on objectives that otherwise seem benign. Pretty nice roll there by our restreamer.
Plus, you got a lot of back attacks early in the seed.
Yeah, that was one reason why I started flipping Sid over to the Dwarf Axe, because that would actually at least let me run away faster. Sure. Instead of having to wait for an attack or two to come out. So that helped a little bit. And then eventually, just started steamrolling everything with Spoonward, and mostly Spoonward.
Yeah. Okay, now the question that we have to ask, the Odin spot. You went there. Did you forget that the summon bosses were not key items today?
Oh, yeah, I completely did. I mean, I didn't go back to Feymarch, but I completely forgot that Odin was part of that crew. I would have done Bahamut as well if I had not found the Earth Crystal where I found it. So, for some reason, Feymarch was out of my head, but yeah, the Odin spot, my brain didn't purge that one. So, whoops.
Well, it didn't cost you too much. You still finished in a very good time. You've cleared most of the seed. I will say one thing that I think if people in the chat or anybody who's watching this as a VOD was to take from your play is your liberal use of saving and resetting to save time. I think just like watch that if you want to learn how to save a little bit of time here and there, and just making use of that, because I thought you did it. You did it a number of times throughout the season. I thought it really benefited you.
Yeah, a lot of places that I just didn't want to have to walk back through. And by the way, another weird thing that I noticed is that I didn't get a single random encounter walking through Sealed Cave, which, yeah, Warp Glitch was on. And then the Tower of Zod with my moon leveled like in the 40s and 50s team. And I get like 4 or 5 surprise encounters in Zod. It's like, we're dangerous ice beasts. And I'm like, no, you're not.
It was, yeah, I mean, so I guess Rando's gonna rando in lots of ways tonight.
Absolutely. Well, hey, thanks to all of you for putting on the show and handling commentary, tracking, and restreaming. You're fantastic. Thanks for having me on the restream. And maybe I'll get a salty run back this Friday night with a less Crouching Tiger, Hidden Rydia.
Yeah, well, who knows? I mean, it's not going to be the same objectives, of course. So that's one of the crazy things about this flag set.
Absolutely.
I think that's the best part of it, is you don't know what you're going to get. But as always, a pleasure to watch you. GG, well played on your run tonight.
Hey, thanks, y'all. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. And so that was Invenerable, the second of our featured runners to finish, the 4th overall in this race. Big GG's. Once again, shout out to our restream team. We've got Gambit on the tracking tonight and Smapety doing the restream. Myself and Valvulus Skunk up here in the booth doing what we can to make this an enjoyable race. Looks like Kinda Nerdy has given up on that Eddie strat. As we saw, she did try to use that have Eddie hide so that the evil wall hits itself. Not enough to kill itself. Got to that crush phase. Didn't have that adamant armor to protect her from the insta kill. So it's going for a different strategy, bringing the old mop into the fight, and hopefully his magic's going to help get that done.
And of course, a huge thank you to Smapety for hosting the restream and rolling a seed with a giant required. Meanwhile, Baka Shinobi finishes in 5th place with a time of 1:42.30. So GG, well played to him. Let's see if we can get him in here for an interview.
And so Kinda Nerdy has readjusted her formation a little bit. Looks like she's going into the Enterprise instead of the big whale. Probably going to go down and crack some more eggs, get some more levels, so that she has a bit more firepower to tackle on this evil wall.
No, that makes sense. Evil wall, and then she doesn't even know it yet, but Antlion after that. That's going to be that's 2 pretty tough.
Yeah, they are 2 tough fights, but they're very similar in that they use primarily physical attacks as the scary thing that they do. And if you've got enough firepower to survive the punches that Evil Wall does, and that, I think Antlion shouldn't be too much trouble after that. Antlion does punch a little harder, but you don't have to get through nearly as much hit points.
Yep, here she goes. Gonna scramble some quick eggs, get some more experience for her party, be able to survive a little bit better against that evil wall. Evil wall at elements. That's just me.
And Kinda Nerdy Housewife well over that 10 key item threshold, and getting over 60k per egg. Doesn't take long to level up with that sort of stuff.
And we are now joined by Baka Shinobi. GG, well played tonight.
Baka Shinobi, are you there?
Yes, I am. I forgot I had push to talk on.
Ah, there you are. GG's on your finish tonight.
Thanks. I hope everyone enjoyed seeing almost everything in that seed. I don't know if I was the first or third person to show it all to you, but I imagine everyone saw a lot of it.
I think you and Invenerable both. The thing is, like, Invenerable, I think, reset out of more places than you did, but the two of you both showed basically the entire seed.
That sounds about right. Of course, I'm punished for skipping music, and of course, Rydia is in the giant behind the evil wall.
Yeah, she was definitely well hidden there.
And you should know better than to skip music at this point.
You know, I should, but I decided to live dangerously and obstinately refused to touch it until the very last thing, because I'm sure at that point everyone else had shown it, and it was just a matter of getting through that evil wall. Which
I will say, you were the first to show off the job dwarf, so I appreciated that.
Well, I'm glad I could go and help on that front.
So, what were your thoughts on having the random objectives tonight? That seemed to kind of change routing a
The random objectives, I've kind of just assumed that if you have 3 objectives, you're completing 70% of the seed, and if you have more than 3 objectives, you're probably completing 90% of the seed, which that's my luck. I went to the highest density spots, and it was Twin Harp leading the way to Rat Tail, and Radio is in Giant, because of course that's the only place the character you need to find would be.
Yeah, I think this is not the first community race with a character objective where the character is behind the giants. So if you're on a community race, Giant is probably live, folks.
And I see that Drag has probably paid attention to that logic.
That may be. Because I mean, the other option was Crystal, which was hiding way down in Sealed Cave, which normally isn't that bad when you've got that warp glitch, but Palom learns warp at such a high level.
Yeah, I reset out of Dwarf Castle because I failed to get Palom up to warp, or up to 30 to get warp, and decided, it's probably faster to go and do this place again than it is to walk through Sealed Cave and get the item. So let's just reset. And it also kind of helped because I like keeping Rosa at that low level, so I could guarantee fleas from enemies with a relative agility 1 character in the party. So that just kind of helped move things along a little bit. But I threw that away when I got to the moon. I could just get a good grind fight and bring up some levels, which helped with the plan of killing all the moon bosses, even though they gave me virtually nothing of value.
Yeah, the moon, I think the moon is haunted definitely was true tonight.
I didn't even get to go and use the pink tail that I never bothered to turn in, or the ribbon to take care of Evil Wall, which did that stymie some people on the seed? Because I imagine that would have stymied some people who weren't level 60 with a Crystal Sword Cecil.
Yeah, kind of nerdy housewife avoided the moon, so she was a lot lower level when she first ran into the Evil Wall. So she just has finished doing an egg grind, and now it looks like she's ready to head back and try it again at a much higher level. But she didn't go to the moon, so she didn't get any of the adamant armors which were available there, which made it a lot easier of a fight for everyone else that we saw.
So the other thing I gotta ask you is, how'd you feel when you got the spoon from D-Miss and had just got rid of Eddie?
I forgot the spoon flag was on, so I didn't care. I was like, whatever. Besides, I have a Crystal Sword Cecil. What do I need an Edward for? He's fragile. He's going to die in a bunch. Cecil can sit in the back row with a glass hat and laugh as anything tries to punch him.
You were the only one on the stream to make use of that Crystal Sword Cecil, and you made pretty good use of them throughout the seed. So overall, well played. Any final thought?
This was mean.
It was kind of mean. I definitely agree with you there.
It was hilariously mean in the best way, and well, I'm glad I could show off the whole seed with a Crystal Sword Cecil.
Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you for letting us watch your seed and letting us see the entire seed.
And thank you both for commentating. Thank you, Gambit, for tracking, and Smapey for restreaming. Much appreciated to all of you for all your hard work.
GG,
Well-
and catch you next time. And during that, we had a couple other finishers. Natara taking 6th place with a time of 1:47, and Dia taking 7th with a time of 1:48.26. So GG to both of them. And it looks like Kinda Nerdy Housewife is going to give this Evil Wall another try. Has done some more grinding, taken the foo. This should be a little bit easier for her now.
Yeah, she's definitely got a much beefier team, got some more firepower with Fu. It should be a lot easier for her to do a lot of damage real quick here.
Yeah, and you can see with those levels, Kane is taking about 300 damage less from this Evil Wall, so that's definitely going to help. Rosa's going to now have Cure 4, Berserk if she chooses to use it, and yeah, this Evil Wall shouldn't pose too much more of a threat, though it's still very fast and cheats.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately it didn't quite level up Palom up to a nuke level, but still has Quake. The Quake kid knows how to Quake. So
Yeah, she just ran out of sirens.
but I think, I mean, Fu knows nuke, and so between the two of them, it's a lot of offensive firepower. Rosa to keep everybody alive. I predict a victory here.
I do as well. 7,000 nuke shouldn't take too long to get through this Evil Wall.
Yeah, and then she just has that Antlion, and then she'll have Viridia, which is her 4th objective. Yeah, I think and you know, you don't know that you're going to get this going in, but the routing that Kinda Nerdy Housewife did was actually probably the best routing that we saw anyone do. Unfortunately, it was a little behind in a couple places, but avoiding the moon completely would be the fastest way to get through here.
Now, avoiding the moon is the correct play. The moon is haunted, as we all know. She did incredible routing. It's just levels is what bit her tonight.
Right. If this was a kinder fight here in this 4 Fiend spot, she could have finished quite a bit earlier. Probably not be 4th in our featured racers. Could have finished really quickly. It's just that this is a very difficult boss if you don't have the right equipment, and that equipment was on the haunted moon.
This is very, very true. Evil Wall, especially at these in-game spots, just not fun. He punches hard, he's very fast, and when he's done moving and punching, he just starts instantly killing your party.
Yeah, it's just not fair.
Hence why he cheats. The one thing to watch out though for with Evil Wall, when you hit him with magic, he does counter with petrified. As you can see, that poor Sid is now fully petrified, and we are now in crush phase.
Oh, here comes the white breaking it out from Rosa.
Still has 3 characters alive, so should be in a okay spot depending on who. Ooh, that's not who you want to see.
But takes out the Evil Wall.
Quake Kid with Quake doing work.
Evil Wall, you just got quaked. Got
And
that nuke.
there's. Well, that antlion is not long for this world.
No, it is not. Oh.
And we had a couple other finishers. Korak, with a time of 1:54.01, takes 8th place, and Mecha in 9th place with a time of 1:54.43.
GG's to all who finished this race. This is not an easy seed for anyone.
No, the evil, like we keeps harping, evil wall at element spot. That is one of the nastiest spots you can run into them. Besides being a pretty fast spot, it has a lot of HP.
This is kind of rude. Kind of Nerdy Housewife does not have a cabin here, and so it's going to be relying on ethers to save here. I think she's got enough MP restorative items that she'll have enough MP to deal with this antlion. But luckily she had an elixir and a few ethers, because otherwise the magic that you'd want to be using that you've got this is not going to be as good. And here comes that antlion.
That's very true. Luckily, still does have 2 physical fighters, so would still potentially be able to get through antlion. And she forgot that her Palom learned nuke.
Well, Quake Kid's got a Quake, right?
I mean, that's why he's called Quack Kid, isn't it?
I guess so.
And choosing to get Blink cast with Fu as well. But as you can see, that antlion hits really hard. But getting the blinks up on our party shouldn't have too much trouble with this now. And looks like, oh, gonna cast slow, try to slow down this antlion as well. Makes sense. This spot is pretty fast. Gonna throw a life potion, get the cane back up. That is a good portion of your DPS, so. And Chemist Sid taking care of some of the healing as well. Sid is now on the ground, getting Blink back up on Rosa. This antlion shouldn't have too much more HP. Should be wrapping up very, very. And here comes a nuke from Fu, but Kane finishes it with a jump. And with that,
kind of nerdy.
Yep, just has to grab Rydia and she will be done. And I love the fact that she used Quake to finish off the antlion.
And there's our little summoner.
Just wanted to play hide and seek today and chose to hide in one of the nastiest giants I have seen in a while.
Rydia joined. Congratulations!
All objectives complete.
All right, let's see if we can't get a quick interview from Kind of Nerdy Housewife. Okay, yeah, she'll be joining us in just a moment here. So what are your thoughts on this race tonight, Pavlos?
I'll give them to you afterwards. We have Kind of Nerdy Housewife. GG, well played.
Thanks. Am I misremembering? Didn't the evil wall used to crush itself when Edward hid?
No, what it is when Edward hides and there's no other targets, it'll auto hit itself. But when you get to crush phase, you still need to be able to do the DPS.
Okay.
Yeah, so the strategy works really well in places like the King Queen Evelyn spot, which have high physical attack but not necessarily as high HP, because then it can punch itself to death.
Yeah, it's unfortunate I'm wasted 15 minutes misremembering.
Yeah, I mean, you were trying to think outside the box because you got there at a pretty low level, and that is a very nasty boss at that spot.
Yeah.
And I will say this though, you probably had some of the best routing of all of our featured runners, and it was
without a doubt
real pleasure to see. It was a real pleasure to see that. It's just, if it was anything but Evil Wall there, and maybe Kanatso, I think you would have finished much sooner. But just Evil Wall is really, really nasty, and 65,000 HP is pretty tough to get through on him.
Yeah, I was scared at the end there. I didn't think he was starting to crush me, and I'm like, well, I just gotta go for it, and I had just enough, so that was good.
Yeah, I mean, the other runners went to the moon and just wasted a bunch of time up there that you didn't do. The other side is they ended up with 2 adamant armors through that, and so that just made that fight a lot easier. So that was the trade-off. You had a more difficult fight, but they wasted a lot of time doing other things. So
yeah, that was mean that Rydia was up there. I checked every other spot. I'm like, oh no. When I got the Earth Crystal, I'm like, oh no, I hope it's not in Giant, but I'll check Earth Crystal first, because that's, twice as many chances. And when Rydia wasn't there, I was like, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate that Rydia was in the Giant, but any thoughts on the flag set in general?
I really liked it. I wasn't a big fan of these surprise / back attacks. I think that's too much randomness. It did make Sylph Cave non-trivial, though. I actually had to heal up through Sylph Cave, so that was interesting.
The random attacks in combination with those damage tiles can be pretty nice.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that's about it for me, so I'm gonna get going. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for letting us watch your stream tonight, and GG's.
GG, looking forward to seeing you again.
Bye-bye.
Well, and that is going to be our race tonight. Once again, make sure you give the runners Kindary, Housewife, Baka Shinobi, Invenerable, and Woobear a follow, or at least pop into their streams whenever they're doing, and because they're doing great stuff on Free Enterprise. Also, remember to give shout-outs to our restream team tonight. We have Smake D on the restream, Gambit doing the hard work of the tracking, much appreciated there. Valveless, any final thoughts tonight?
This was a very interesting flag set, and I love the more randomness and looking forward to seeing more races of this. Again, echoing what Rex Raul said, make sure you give our runners a follow. At least go check out their streams. All of them are really incredible runners. All of them are very friendly. And, if you're interested in running this, definitely come join us on the Discord. Lots of people will be more than happy to help you learn this. But I think that's gonna about wrap it up for us tonight. Did you have any final thoughts, Rex?
I just really enjoyed watching the routing on the fly. A lot of fun. And I believe we're going to be heading on over to Demarin's stream. She is doing some Free Enterprise tonight. So everybody root her on whatever she's running tonight. Because I don't think she's in the race, but she's doing something fun, I'm sure.
Yeah, Demarin, one of our admins and one of the ones that help with these weekly races. So definitely check her out. And we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching.